You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. A huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. Adding to that is the Doghouse, and so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedoghouseokc.com and follow them on Instagram at thedoghouseokc, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. We are down at Rose Records with the wonderful Taylor playing the ones and twos. That's why me and my guest look fabulous on camera. Well, she always looks fabulous. I don't. Yeah, Rachel Cannon's back on the podcast.
Hey.
With some glamorous shoes today.
Thank you. Got some new kicks at Balliette's.
Oh, local. Okay, love
Try
that.
to shop local, which is
Shop
a little
local.
challenging here.
Well, you've been
But,
traveling a lot, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I have been traveling. I did not get any shopping in while I was there.
Yeah, work trip, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
So we did a podcast a while back. We've done a couple of podcasts. We did a live conversation when you launched your new venture, Rock, Paper, Cannon. Mm-hmm. Since then, you've done a lot of cool things. So I guess shall we just run it back of what happens after you decide to, I guess, exit Prairie Surf would be the right way to put it.
Sure.
And decide to take a massive swing and take on the entire industry and bring the industry to Oklahoma.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Do it. Timeline me. We got loads of time here.
Well, I feel like, the fun thing with you and I is that we've been trying to talk for years. Mm-hmm. And because of the sensitivity of my role at Prairie Surf when I was, CEO of the studio side of it. So I was constantly under confidentiality restraints where I couldn't talk about what I was doing. I couldn't talk about who was coming. I couldn't talk about what was happening. So, we kept talking about it, and now I can actually take the shackles off and I can talk about stuff. So, I think after stepping down, when the building went away, it just became that was the business. And so I think we used that building as a proof of concept to be able to show that the industry worked on a larger scale in Oklahoma. I think we proved that in spades. I think that,
Twister, Tulsa King.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
American Underdog. But also simultaneously, Res Dogs, Killers of the Flower Moon, Reagan,
Minari was here too, right?
Yeah, Minari. Yeah. We proved that the industry works here. And I think the first year that I was going back to California and having those conversations, the industry was kind of like, Oklahoma? Maybe. If we have something small enough that makes sense, we'll send it there. And then year two, it was, oh yeah, I heard Tulsa King and Res Dog. Yeah, you guys have some stuff going on. We'll think about it.
Yeah.
We'll put a list together. And then by the end of year three, I was there and they were just like, man, I have heard the best feedback from the Universal crew and the people at Twisters. And, they've had such good feedback that I'm now getting pitched projects to come back. And then quietly in my back pocket, I was like, well, the building's going away. So
I can't say yes or no.
We're going to have to pause on that.
I don't know what to do.
So they're pitching me projects and I'm knowing that I'm not going to be able to service any of that, but the relationships are there. You know what I mean? So it proved the concept. I am eternally grateful for the partnership with the city to be able to do that. who hands you a 1.3 million square foot building on a proof of concept to prove out something that is so ambitious and wild and insane? Like, Oklahoma City takes big swings, and like, I'm forever grateful for that. So I think stepping down just became, all right, we proved it out. Like, now what do you want to do? And for me, that has always been sitcoms. I've been beating this drum for decades. It's my passion. It's what I want to do. I think that comedy has the ability to heal brokenness, and I think our world is broken right now, and I think people need to lighten up
A little bit.
we need a little more laughter, and let it begin with us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Start in the middle.
Before we dive into the comedy thing, I don't think we've really talked at length about Twister and hosting Twister and having megastars in town. And, you know, I went to the premiere. We were both at the premiere, and, you know, you go to the after party at the National, and like, they're just hanging out, you know, and you're just like, wait a second. I'm with my aunt at the time, who had I peaked as
She's
a
the
nephew
best.
at that point. It's like, she was so happy. And Glenn Powell's walking around, and she's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What from your side though, like, I mean, talking like, how is that in your career resume to have on the list, to have in Oklahoma, to have in your home state, to have in your home city? Like, talk me through like how that makes you feel versus, obviously people kind of know what it's like to you know, have a movie, blah 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 blah. But like for you personally,
Yeah.
you know, what was it like?
Well, you know, like being in LA, you know, I went to all the red carpet premieres and the parties in LA.
Yeah.
And I worked behind the scenes. I produced a lot of those events for many years. So I was the house crew producing all of these like massive budget, you know, 200, 300, 400 million dollar movie premieres. So to be able to have that experience in Oklahoma was pretty special, because I feel like the first year that I went through session, I've now done 5 sessions and passed 5 bills, like through legislative session.
Yeah.
Who knew that was going to
Yeah.
be on my bucket list of things to accomplish? But I remember the first year, the legislators' comment was, you know, 1, is this really an industry that we want here? 2, do you really think Hollywood will come? 3, you know, do you really think that we can like make an industry of this? And 4, you have $8 million. What more could you possibly want? Like, that was first session. And I was just like, okay, well, we're gonna have to change some minds. Some hearts and minds are gonna have to like come together on this.
Yeah.
I think that we changed the story around the economics of the industry in that first year. We got the legislators on board with, you know, let's stop talking about the glitz and glam of Hollywood, and let's really talk about the economics and the job creation and the economic impact. Like, let's talk about the opportunities that this industry brings. And I think once we finally got on the other side of it and we stopped looking at it as this zip code, you know, and instead we started looking at it as an industry, that we got the buy-in, I think, from the legislature. And once we got that, then getting the buy-in from the industry and getting them to come here, you know, so it was a multi-year process for the culmination of that event. I mean, it took us 8 months to get Twisters here. I mean, to the point where even, you know, even some of the people on my inner circle were like, Rachel, it might be time to just let go. Just let go. Dog with a bone over there. Like, let go. It's not happening. And I was just like, if this is what we go down fighting for, like, if we don't get this, I think our industry is over. It sends such a clear message to the world that if Tulsa King isn't staying, and if Twisters like doesn't complete the legacy of that story in Oklahoma, then what is your industry doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was going to go down in flames fighting for it. And so I think the culmination of sitting in that room, not having to work the red carpet, because I had stepped down, you know, after I saw them out the door. Like, that was my client that I took care of. But I think being able to go with Universal as a guest of Universal to that event and just watch Oklahoma experience it, like watching people on the red carpet, watching people taking selfies, watching like how dressed, I mean, people were there in tuxedos, and like, it was an event. And in LA, it's just like, oh yeah, I've got an event I've got to go to, and it's just old hat.
Yeah.
Here, it was so special to see how excited Oklahoma got to be a part of that. And I think the culmination of 20 years in Los Angeles, learning the ropes, the last 5 years of just fighting tooth and nails through the foundation of this, sitting with you and your aunt, in the bar,
Yeah.
just watching all of it kind of come around, being with my friends at Universal, we did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt tremendous pride and gratitude for the partners. They would have gotten so much more money if they went to Georgia.
Mm.
I wasn't asked to beat that deal. I was asked to match a minimum, and they would choose us over Georgia. I don't think people realize the gift that Universal gave us,
Yeah, they don't.
which is, we want to help you build an industry. We see what you're doing here, and we're really inspired by it. We'll help you with education. We'll help you with, Frank Marshall even told me, he's like, Rach, I'm going to give you a gift. We're going to match New York City in downtown Oklahoma City, because that way you can say, we did 100% of the movie. That would have been a lot cheaper to just fly a crew, grab some stuff on location in New York. But he was like, nope, we're going to build it and we're going to double it here.
Yeah.
That alone, the ability to say we did 100% of that movie here, and it is a global sensation.
Which was the Gilded Acorn clip, right?
Yeah.
Where she runs out, or he runs out after, and she almost gets
the scaffolding that they have outside, which, they were really strategic in how they matched it. But he was like, there's a shot right here in downtown Oklahoma City where we think we can match Manhattan. And we've got the ecoregions, we've got the cityscapes, we've got the small towns, we've got everything to have a successful industry. Sans the infrastructure now, but
right, yeah,
but that'll come. That'll come back up, and we've proven to the world that we can hang.
Yeah, well, the infrastructure can be built, right?
That's right.
Without having the rest of it, you can always build infrastructure, whereas
That's
you
right.
need all the other things. And one thing I love too was seeing your hometown of Yukon in a clip, which straight after that clip, they roll in, they say they roll into Sapulpa, which it's not.
Yeah.
But that clip of her driving,
That's right.
at night, the truck and with the Christmas lights and everything, it's like, oh, I know exactly where that is.
Millertown.
Yeah, it's special, right? And,
it is.
you go back and, there's a lot of relationships you've built over the years that this thing doesn't even get a conversation without those relationships. And I don't I don't want to take that away from you. I don't want anyone to take it away from you, right? Because there's going to be people who are going to claim it, oh, we did this because of this, and those who really know.
That's all right.
But yeah, you can sit there in the bar with us and just kind of smile and be like, yeah, this is, the mayor's over there taking photos with Daisy Edgar Jones and, and Glenn Powell. And Glenn Powell almost names his dog, right, Enid, but he names it Brisket instead, or whatever the thing is. It definitely puts Oklahoma. It is, right? Well, I mean, he's not a bad looking human being himself, is he? Let's be honest.
He's all right.
Yeah, it and then obviously that movie is such an iconic movie, not just for movies, but for Oklahoma too.
That's right.
I remember watching that movie back home and just laughing at the cow scene.
Yeah.
And the other day saw a video of Reed Timmer, who's went to OU and is storm chasing, and he's like, oh, cow. It's like, oh, this is real. That wasn't, things in Oklahoma that you just everyone around the world kind of laughs and jokes about, but it's real here. And then, you got all the locations that people now go to and all the things that come from that. So it's,
well, I appreciate you saying
awesome.
that. You know what I mean? It's, I never did it for the headlines.
Right.
I did it for the impact. And I think being able to see every bit of fighting was worth it, because I will say there were about 5 people that were not included in that premiere that were the 5 people that ensured it got there. And it's a couple of legislators, some not even in office anymore and weren't in office at the time, but there were people who fought behind the scenes epically over the course of the holiday break, before the director signed on, before, you know what I mean? Before anybody else really knew to fight for it, there were people behind the scenes, on Thanksgiving Day that were like, okay, here's the new plan. What if we structure it this way? Navigating the Rubik's Cube and just making sure there were enough pieces to even click into place.
Yeah.
Those are the people that, I called when the movie came out, and I was like, you're not going to get recognition, but this wouldn't have happened without you. You know what I mean? And those are the people that I celebrated with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. And that movie went on to be like one of the biggest movies like of the year, right? And maybe ever. I haven't seen the stats, but it did a lot of volume.
I mean, my favorite were the texts that I got from like the head of Universal, who was like, Rachel, have you seen the performance in the theater and more? Like, do you know how staggering these numbers are? And I'm like, I told you, if you make it for us, by us, we show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was like, I will never doubt you again.
Yeah. And then like you take that and like how do you use that step to to continue, right? And like you said, you've always had this comedy element. That's what you've grown up doing. That's why you went to LA. You've been in these comedy shows and had this and that audience dynamic of doing a show and interacting with the audience and doing it again because you want to give the audience another couple more laughs and another take, whatever it is. Was this always a dream back in like, did you always had this in your back pocket?
Oh yeah.
Like if the building would still be there, do you think you'd stay in the movies, or would you still, there was always like, this comedy side of bringing comedy for middle America back to middle America?
This is what I was doing before Prairie Surf even started.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had a commercial real estate agent scouring, looking for stages. I had already looked at every building in Oklahoma to do a live audience sitcom in Oklahoma, like bringing all my sitcom people back when I feel like we got kind of distracted by, or you just like build the whole infrastructure, you know what I mean? And then we've got an industry that can scale up. So, this has always been the dream. Like it's always been to be able to do sitcoms. It was just taking a moment to build the foundation first because we needed legislation. We needed a better workforce. We needed more to be able to do it at a high scale level. So pause. Okay, go build the infrastructure. Okay, now come back. And I think that the gift was, honestly, like the gift was that the building went away.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to think that. But for me, it was the ability for me to step away and go focus on my true passion and like what it was that I wanted to do. And I was never going to be able to do that as long as that building was going to be there. We were going to figure out how to continue making that a thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, honestly, it was a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look back on life sometimes and think that it's really bad during that time, right? You lose something, or others would look at it from the outside and be like, oh, you lost all this stuff, or you lost this building, or you lost this job, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then you look back 5-6 years later, you're like, oh, it's like the greatest thing that ever happened, because it forces you then to go the road or to take a big swing and frees you up to do the things that maybe you really want to do. When you had this then, this dream to bring it back, and you were scouring, commercial buildings, what do you need? What do you look for? What's the size? I don't know, just that stuff's fascinating. My real estate industry background is just fascinated with like, what does a soundstage look like? How much space do you need? I mean, you had 1 million square feet, but you definitely, I would assume, don't need that much, right? Like,
no, we used every square inch of it.
Yeah.
But for what I want to do, no, I mean, you need 20,000 square feet. You need a warehouse. You know what I mean? The difference is, and here's where the real estate guys laugh at me, because I want consumer facing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want an industrial warehouse, which you can use. And look, we could totally make it work. But I want something where people want to go to show night. They want to go to an event. I want restaurants and hotels and all of this stuff around, because I know that I'm going to bring people to an event and they're going to spend money around it. So why not have something around it versus driving outside of town to an industrial park where sure it works, but like I want sexy industrial. You know what I mean? So like go find me sexy industrial.
I want a venue. I want a venue with infrastructure and everything around it.
That's right.
Like a Broadway show or the West End or wherever it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I say is, to do sound stages to capture what you're trying to do for Hollywood.
Yeah.
That is industrial, and it doesn't matter where it is. It actually is better for it to be a little outside of town, right? Because production needs to move around and they've got a bunch of trucks and you need that a little bit outside. But to do what I'm trying to do with live audience, mine is more on the broadcast side of things. And this is more consumer facing. So it's bringing people to an event. We are more like a Thunder game. We are more like a Broadway show. We're a Friday night. You know what I mean? So being able to let people come and be a part of that. Now, Will that be eventually anchored into a larger campus? Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for today, being able to find something that works, yeah, you need 20,000. Like, it's all flexible. Production is so flexible. You know what I mean? It's a big empty box. It needs a ton of power. It needs, fairly, high weight loads for ceiling and floor to be able to build stuff on it. But it's a big empty box. We bring everything else, like it's not as complicated as people think it is.
Right. Yeah.
If you have the right team to put it in place, like that's the whole thing is like, I have the team on the infrastructure side. I have the engineers and the architects, and like those were my people. Like that's my Rolodex, and that's what I bring to the table. And so, if you have those contacts, I make this building work. You know what I mean? Like you go and you turn anything into a production space because you bring all the resources, and that is the power of physical production.
Yeah.
We make it work.
It's amazing when you do see like a stage, right? And you see everything hanging from the ceiling, and they're building sets, and they've turned, what you guys did with Prairie Surf, where the ice rink used to be, into like a prison set or whatever it was that was, when I remember walking through there, I'm like, this, you'd never know, right? That's the, you just, there's so much skill, and the teams here is building those things.
Yeah. You just need the space. The production comes in and they build it. I mean, my favorite thing when I brought the Twisters team through, you had the set deck and, the DP and the whole team is coming through for their walkthrough. And they're looking at where the convention halls were. They're looking at those stages. And they're like, yeah, I mean, this will work. Like, I wish it was a little bit higher, but like, I love the clear span and, like the deadening in here, like this all works perfect. And I go, well, if you want taller, like, let me show you stage 4. And so they were like, there's another stage. Yeah. So it was walking into that arena, and like you turn the corner and you walk in, and all of a sudden it's just like endless, it's just looking up and over. And they were like, oh my gosh, do you think we could hang a semi up there? And I was like, probably hang a couple, you know what I mean? And the line producer's like, stop it. I was like, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can do anything you want in there. It's like an endless production playground.
So awesome.
It's magic.
Where does the name for Rock Paper Cannon come from? And how long have you had that in your back pocket before releasing it?
I mean, I wish I could take credit for it. It's marketing, man. Like my marketing exec was like, you have to have your name in the title. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And so, I don't want Rachel Cannon Productions or, Rachel Cannon Media. Like that just sounds so lame, And she was like, okay, I'm going to present you a list of ideas. So she presented a list of names, and that one got me because it was playful and it was fun, and now I think what's so fun is that you see Rochambeau literally everywhere. I've seen it in the Pink Panther. I see it in the Barbie movie and Friends. Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah, what did you say?
Rochambeau.
What's that? Never heard that before. Taylor's laughing too. What is that?
I don't know. That's what you call it. Rochambeau. Rock, paper, scissors.
I've never heard that, but that's a first.
Maybe that's a Yukon thing.
It's definitely a Yukon thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I think just changing the game is our tagline. So it literally is taking something like vintage and wonderful that is historically proven and that has been around forever, but we put a modern, fresh twist on it. Also, like the playfulness of Canon, like the signal for that, so you've got rock, you've got paper, you've got scissors, but this is Canon. So like that is the sign language for Canon, which is fun.
Yeah, it is.
So I loved it. So I went with that. And Candace gets credit for Rock, Paper, Cannon. It was not my idea.
Why didn't you want to put your name in it?
I don't know.
It's just not at all?
Not at all?
No?
I don't know. Like I mean, as an actress, I like being on stage when I'm giving other people's lines life, when I am breathing life into something else. I love doing improv. I love performance. I love all of those things. But what I don't love is the spotlight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know. Like I like performing.
Is that what, like as a kid, drew you into acting?
I mean, I put my first ballet slippers on when I was 3 years old,
Yeah.
and I was like putting on performances and forcing my parents and my friends and neighbors to like pay for tickets to the show that I was going to decide what it was going to be as the show was beginning. I mean, I loved that. I was a cheerleader all through high school. I was on the pom squad in high school and college. Like, I love performing. What I don't love is like public speaking and being out in front of like large crowds and groups of people. Like, that is the introverted side of me that, I like to hide behind a character.
But you've been very successful in the legislature to have to do that. And,
Yes.
I would assume that you take a lot of your talents and your performances that you've done since a young age into that and treat it that way versus if you went in thinking, oh, I'm here, Rachel Cannon, and I've got to speak to all these people, then not that you put a mask on, but it helps change your mindset of like, oh, I'm going to go perform, play this political game.
Honestly, what I love about the legislative process, and this is going to be surprising for most people, it's relational. Like, you're going up there, and it's less of a like, here's a performance and you have to look at all these numbers and it's more about relationships and going into those rooms and talking to the legislators and being like, here's this big ambitious vision and this big idea. I need you to buy in because you're going to go sell it. I'm going to write your script. I'm going to help provide notes. I'm going to do all the legwork. I'm going to go talk to every single person in this building so that you don't have to answer like questions on the floor. I'm going to do the work for you. Mm-hmm. I need to know, what can you sell? What do you feel confident in? Because I'm not going to hand you like, this is what it is, go do this for me, because it's not for me. It's a handshake, not a handout. And I think because I am such a team-oriented person, I'm an ensemble comedy girl, like, I'm looking for a lineup. That is innately who I am. And so I go in and I work with these legislators and I'm like, what do we want to do together? This is your legacy as much as it's mine. You know what I mean? And I think as long as you go in with that mentality, then you're getting calls at 11 o'clock at night and it's like, hey, what about this? And like, you get them inspired and excited because it's just as much theirs as it is yours. You know what I mean? And I think that's where legislative efforts fail, is when people just hand it over to a lobbyist and they're like, this is what I want, go get it for me.
Yeah. Me, I. Yeah, it's all what I want and where I want to go. That's the thing that, like, politics here is a sport compared to, well, it's probably a sport in every country, but I think it's especially a sport here. And it gets looked at, as not a glamorous place to be.
Yeah.
But
we owe everything to our legislative community.
They don't get enough credit for it.
They don't get enough credit. Yeah. They don't get enough money. They work really, really hard. They get yelled at all the time. What I always tell people is, like, if you want to know how to help, call your legislator and just tell them thanks. Thanks for your service. It's just like the military. Like, thank you for your service. We live in a better place because you are willing to show up and fight to protect our rights and everything that we have access to. So thank you for that. Mm-hmm. And then just hang up. Like, that's it.
Don't ask.
And that's a full conversation. Yeah. Then when you have an ask, then you can call them and you can talk to them about it. Or when you have an opinion on, hey, I want you to support this, or I don't want you to support this. But like, man, it's a hard job. Yeah. And I think that's why I've gotten where I've gotten, is because I go up there and I get to know them as people. I may not agree with everybody's politics 100% of the way, but I appreciate who they are as people. And I appreciate the service that they dedicate to the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah. To that point, what are the greatest lessons you've learned around that then? And the way that the state operates, the legislature operates, and, you've been successful there, but like you said, it's not been easy. No. So, and, it takes a person like yourself to go in and be like, we're not leaving until like I get this done. And, like I said, some of your friends have just said, what are you doing? Yeah. Or if you can't figure something out, you learn it. Like I've had conversations with many people in your circle and I'm like, what's Rachel up to? And she's like, oh, she's learning, numbers and budgets and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, like, so.
I am a student for sure. Yeah. My whole thing is like, whatever you don't know, whatever's holding you back, go become an expert in that field. Yeah. So, like I said, legislation, structural engineering, like architecture, acoustical design, like all of these things were not really in my wheelhouse 5 years ago, but they sure as heck are now. You know what I mean? So I remember for Twisters, no, for Tulsa King, the structural engineer that they put on to decide like what the weight loads could be. There's a firm, McLaren out of New York, and this is who Paramount was using. And I remember like 3 conversations in, it was just me and the structural engineer, like the head of the firm that were talking. And he started talking so far over my head. And I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, now you're just showing off. Like dial it back just a little bit. What are you talking about? And he goes, are you not a structural engineer? And I go, no, but I can play one on TV.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, huh, okay. I literally thought you had more of a background in that. And I was like, no, I memorize stuff for a living. So
Yeah.
like I can talk enough to be dangerous, but like you just went into a whole different area of that. So yeah, I mean, like I learned about the legislative process. I learned about like negotiating contracts. Like I can't tell you how many like attorneys from all different levels that I hung out with to learn, okay, this is what we need foundationally to build everything out. Learning about economic development, learning about finance and, you know, building funds and putting things together to like start new industries. Like I love business. Yes, I love performing and I love acting and I'm never going to stop doing that. Like I can't wait to get back on a stage and like just to be in a hair and makeup chair. I need that in my life again. But I'm okay building it and doing it here. Like every time I turn down a show, like part of me dies on the inside. And then I realize like, but I'm building it here.
Okay.
That job is somewhere else.
When was the last time you turned down a show?
A couple of months ago.
Yeah.
I would have had to move back to LA.
Yeah.
For a year. And that's not the best thing for my kid.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not the best thing for the industry. Because if I just disappear for a year,
yeah,
you know, like love me or hate me, I am building something that is disruptive.
Is that hard? It's really hard for you to do.
Say no.
Yeah, like to those jobs like that, when it's trying to pull you back in and take you away from like this thing that you're building, and you're like, come on, here's, you know, they're waving dollars in front of you and saying, hey, come do the show and sit in the makeup chair and do you. This is what you do. This is what you're built for. But don't worry about that. You can build that later. Is that hard for you?
It's not hard for me. I think what's hard for me is like when there are rumors going around, you know what I mean? Like when I hear about those things, that like knowing that there are people in the community that are trying to tear you down, like hearing about that kind of stuff and then saying no to a job that's really good for me personally, but wouldn't be good for the industry at large. That's hard. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. I'm not building it for that person. I'm building it for the next generation, the kids like me, that I had to leave to go do what I want to be in this industry. And I was fortunate enough that I was able to do that. I want to change that narrative for the next generation so they can stay, but they don't have to sacrifice on the level at which they enter the industry. I want them to be able to go big and stay home.
Yeah, you're continuing to build on Gray's legacy, right?
Yeah.
Like
I will try and fill those shoes every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And fail.
Yeah, they're big shoes.
Got some big
very,
shoes.
Very big shoes.
Yeah. But he did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he went out and he succeeded at the highest level. And then he came home and gave a piece of that away to all the students like me and everyone I know that has a career in the industry at some point had a touch point to Gray. And we're all here because of that. And so I think continuing to build on that legacy and continuing to evolve this incredible industry and the opportunity that we have to diversify our economy here with entertainment, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. Like we are building something extraordinary. But to your point, like, is it hard to say no? Yes and no. Like selfishly, sure, it's tough because do you know how easy it is to just sit in hair and makeup and then go and know your lines and spend the rest of your day working out and making sure your body looks great and that your face doesn't fall apart? Like that's a job. It's a full job. And instead I'm like, you know, arm wrestling legislators and trying to figure out how to walk up on a roof and how to core a roof to see like what the weight loads are going to be. Like the information that now exists in my brain from the last 4 years that I was making all of that work is a sitcom in and of itself. You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious.
It is, and I'm sure all your friends who are still in LA or still in the industry are just like, why? What do you come sit in this chair? Come read some lines.
Yes.
Like, and I know you got a fun taste of it when Reagan was here, right? And you got to kind of be a part of that, play a funny role, and get the curls and everything, right? And do that part, and sit through that. But yeah, I'm sure there's some of your friends just like, I mean, I'm sure they have a lot of respect for you, and they love what you're doing but it's a lot easier, like you said, to just sit in a chair, memorize your lines, and make a good living, and fly back from LA every now and then, and whatever it is. Like, that's not you, though, is it?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not where my heart is.
Like a challenge.
I do like a challenge, and I like to build stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a builder, and I like to see, it's visionary. You know what I mean? Like, I see things completed and big, and then I like to work backwards and say, okay, this is where I think it starts. And then being on that journey, like, I'm a marathon. I'm not a sprinter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking to build things, but I'm looking like 5 years down the road. Here's where we start. Here's where this goes. Here's the 20-year impact from that. And, taking a job here and there, like, that's going to help make me some money for a minute. You know what I mean? But it's not going to change anything. And I'm looking to disrupt and change things. And so what I will tell you is, my friends don't think I'm crazy anymore. Like, my friends are coming to me asking for
now
jobs.
They don't. Yeah.
At first they were like, dude, what are you doing in Oklahoma? And now I get calls from showrunners and writers and directors and like people that are not in my network, but they're like, hey, hope it's okay. I got your number or your email from, this mutual friend, and I'd love to be put on your list for showrunners to consider for, the shows that you guys are doing. And hey, I'd love to put my name in the mix for such and such, or here's my relation to Oklahoma. Now I think people are really starting to look at, okay, the industry is struggling.
Yeah.
There are changes that are happening that nobody can control. And the person that seems to be unfazed by that is this wild little Mustang in Oklahoma City who's just doing her own thing. Like, everything that comes out seems to work in my favor. You know what I mean? Like, all of these different plays don't disrupt my business plan. All they do is strengthen it.
Yeah.
They strengthen my position on why an independent television studio in the middle of the country makes sense. It strengthens my position on, okay, development is down. Great. Well, that means acquisitions are up. Well, I'm not looking for development money. I'm looking for acquisitions. So like, everything that I have been preaching is actually coming into play with such tremendous strength that it almost feels like it's ordained, almost feels like I'm not driving.
Right. Yeah. The snowball is collecting. It's getting bigger and bigger, right? And the ball's rolling, and, people are noticing. The right people are noticing, right? It's not just Oklahoma that's noticing. Yeah. Where are we at in that process as of today? You just got back from the Middle East on a fantastic trip with a bunch of other Oklahomans.
Yes.
But where are we as far as the legislator? I know there's a bill that just passed. We can talk about that, and just, where are we at in the process so far?
Yeah. So, I took the last few months to put a piece of legislation together, because now I feel like I just enjoy doing it. Now I'm just doing it for sport.
Does the byline say Rachel Cannon too? When you have a piece that's like, not like when you write an article, it's like, oh, bye, whoever.
Yeah. No, I mean, this one was for broadcast. This one was to expand our industry. I feel like I already work to build the legislation for SB 608, in 2021, that was for the film and television industry to be able to, grow from 8 million to 30 million. Man, we got that thing pumping, and it was working really well. So I stepped back from that and I said, keep going. You know what I mean? Like, keep growing that. That's a recruiting tool. It's a great thing that we have put in place. This year I came in with a new layer to be able to expand the industry in broadcast. So broadcast television is a totally different beast. So it is live entertainment, to be able to do live audience sitcoms, game shows, talk shows. Like, this is something that, you could argue, well, that's episodic and it fits under the old piece of legislation. I'm like, great, then tell me, when have we ever received an application for anyone wanting to bring that industry to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oh, is that never?
Mm.
That's because it doesn't exist. We don't have the infrastructure for it. So we needed something to be put in place, which is our cry. It's our battle cry. You know what I mean? To say, like, this is what we want more of. We want the legacy of live entertainment, because this has been the studio stabilizer for the last 60 years in Hollywood. This has what, built this stabilization and the foundation for Hollywood studios. Because you have the success of Friends, you can go take a swing at Harry Potter. And like, these are year-long jobs. Like, it is consistent work for our crew. It is consistent work for our businesses that support it. It is consistent, stage clients for the studios. So like, if you want somebody to come in here and build a studio, well, are you just going to be going out and scrambling for getting a client every year? And I know what that feels like because I did it. Yeah. Or are you building a foundation for something that can stabilize that industry? So really, yes, I'm going to build the shows and to do that as an independent television studio, but I wanted the infrastructure, both legislatively and from the business community aspect, to say, I'm not just asking the business community to come to the table with money. I'm asking the state to come as a public-private partnership to say, this is an industry that we want to support. We're going to put some money towards this, and an outlay to say, like, this incentivizes live audience shows. And honestly, like, the calls that I get from studios who are like, are you really doing this in Oklahoma? And I'm like, I told you years ago, this is what's happening. When I was on set in LA, and I was like, you're doing this in the wrong place. This would kill in the middle of the country. So I think building the foundation to make sure that it can exist and that your foundation is so strong, once it does get going, it's really hard to break that stable foundation, right? And I remember Kevin O'Leary was here from Shark Tank with the Lieutenant
Mr.
Governor.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
He is wonderful, I will admit. But he was here looking at some of the industries that Oklahoma has from an investment perspective, talking about how we're pro-business, which, I was on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors in 23 and 24, and it's really important that we make ourselves a state that is pro-business so that people want to come and anchor those businesses here. So having that conversation when we talked about the film industry, and he's like, yeah, that's great. When we talked about live audience and what we're trying to do with a live audience bill to really strategically bring that part of the business here, he looked at the Lieutenant Governor and he goes, I hope you give her everything she's asking for. Like, that's brilliant. I would love to be able to do Shark Tank in a different place, like in the middle of the country. And like, this historically has been a business only in California. And so what we're doing very ambitiously is, why don't we relocate that part of the business, which is for Middle America anyways? That's where the tourism is coming from. Why not anchor that entire industry here in Oklahoma? Yeah. So, I had a lot of unnecessary opposition on that from people that didn't understand it, but it wasn't from the legislators. They were like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're still like, I'm sure you still battle this too. It's Oklahoma. You're coming in, this actress from LA, blonde hair, blue eyed, like, oh, I'm going to go change the world. And everyone's like, yeah, sure. But you are, right? And so finally they're coming around. But you've got to have to fight through that, stigma or whatever you want, old boy kind of mentality you've got to fight through to get it done, right? And, legislator is full of that, fortunately, from what I understand.
There's a lot of it, but I will say, even I don't need everyone to agree with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I take it back to comedy. Like, I don't need 100% of the people laughing to have laughter in the room. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, the more people that are in that audience, you've got a 50-50 chance at getting people to be on board with your vision. So, in the legislature, that is what you need. You need 51%, you know what I mean, of a vote to get something to pass. Now, I don't like those statistics. That makes me a little uncomfortable. So I tend to push for 75.
Yeah.
But I think being able to go and have a touch point where I think a lot of people, their thought process is, oh, that person's not going to be for you, so don't waste your time. And I'm like, I'm going to go have a conversation with as many people that will talk to me as possible, because I want them to ask me the questions. I want them to understand where I'm coming from. And if you don't have a conversation there, you're just leaving the opposition like on the table.
Yeah, they've
And
made-
so I had conversations. My favorite will remain unnamed, but my favorite was a legislator that was like, oh, I'm going to vote no against that because it has like, there's a fiscal element to it. And I don't support it for that. But could I look at your business plan as an investor? I go, but
Yeah.
it shows you that he was like, I really want this for Oklahoma. This is so exciting, but
Go play the game.
but I'm going to vote no. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's all right. So then when I saw him after the vote passed, 75%, after the vote passed, I'm walking down the stairs and I go, what happened? I thought you were a yes. And he goes, no, I told you I was a no. I was like, I'm just
Just
screwing with
kidding.
like, I don't care. That doesn't make me
Right.
like him less. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need everyone to be for me.
Yeah.
I need everybody to be informed.
Yeah.
And that is a big difference.
Mhm.
Like, if you vote no, but you believe it, well, that's democracy, dude.
Right.
I'm for that.
Yeah. Tell me about the Middle East. How you got to go? What was it about? What was the trip? What's their interest in Oklahoma, I guess.
Yeah. That's been an interesting relationship. Bon Payne brought me in 3 years ago. And it was fun. It was right after he had left the governor's office as chief of staff, and where we had worked together quite a bit on getting all the industry and everything stood up. And he was bringing the prime minister over and, a group of they had a delegation coming over from Qatar. And he was like, I need you to come and be a part of this luncheon. I can't tell you who's coming and I can't tell you anything about it, but I need you to be there. And I go, that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I trust you. So like, I'll show up. So I show up to this luncheon and I literally am just thinking, what am I doing here? And like just trying to get my head wrapped around like, what are we talking about? But it was investment opportunities. And there was, aerospace, defense, and entertainment. Those were the three that we were kind of talking about. And, that was 3 years ago. And I know that he's been working really hard to further those conversations because they are very interested in investing money in Oklahoma. And, America in general, but like they're really looking at Oklahoma because we're pro-business, because they love Governor Stitt, because of some of the things that he's put in place to be a pro-business state. It's a good place for investment. And so with that, they came back with another delegation of their leaders, I want to say like 2 months ago. And so again, I was brought back. The same head of the embassy came, but he had like a totally different group of their investment authority and their finance center and free zones and all the different groups. And they asked me to keynote a luncheon and to talk to them about entertainment and talk to them about rock, paper, cannon and what it is that I'm doing. And so we had that conversation and they were great. They were just like, will you come to Doha? And I go, maybe. Come to Doha. We want you to meet everybody.
Yeah.
So Bond put a delegation together of a few industries, and they were specifically invited by the embassy, right? It was, we want to see these people. We would like these to come over so that we could explore business opportunities. And so I was very grateful to be included. I was very flattered by the invitation. I made a lot of great friends in the process, and there are some like legit business opportunities on the table that we're looking and exploring. And what I'll say is like getting to meet their entertainment division over there, which is new, and it's where we were a few years ago. So being able to look at that and explore with them, hey, you need to look at this and this and this and this and this. When they're being pitched, go build $1 billion, whatever.
Which they can.
And I'm like, let's look at this. Like I've got some other thoughts. And so I know my last day I'd gotten kind of whisked to the top of a building to meet with some people. And after kind of giving my opinion on a couple of things, they were like, can we extend your trip? And I go, no, I have to go home. And they're like, can we fly your family over?
I have to go to the Chuck Wagon Festival
I
with
have
my
to go to the
family.
Chuck
I can't
Wagon
miss this.
Festival. My husband will not be okay.
Yeah. Not for your son, it's for your husband.
Yeah, it's for let's be real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're continuing to have conversations. I made friends for life on that trip out of DC and Doha. And I had to have a separate suitcase to bring all the presents home like they shower you with gifts. You know what I mean? Like bottles of perfume that are like this big.
Yeah.
You need 2 hands to pick it up. Like it's insane. But they were absolutely wonderful, very curious, very interested in like how we build things both in Qatar and in Oklahoma, and how you leave legacies in both. And I'm here for it. Like I loved the conversations, and I don't pretend to know everything about any of it. But I am grateful for the invitation. I had a fantastic time. They have air conditioning that comes up in the restaurants, like it's in the floorboards and it comes up. You're sitting outside overlooking the water in the Gulf. It's magical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, why am I not hot and I'm sitting out here? Whereas if I go, to Red Rock and I'm sitting outside and I'm just like, I'm melting.
I'm gonna fry.
So we got to put it in the floorboards. The chillers are in the floorboards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like the Gulf is a little bit better than Lake Hefner. Just a little.
I mean, potatoes, right? No, it was great. It was a wonderful trip. I am forever indebted. Bon Payne is a fantastic leader. He literally is working to bring world-class things to Oklahoma. He goes out into the world and he fishes and he brings it back. And he is setting up magical things that are world-class in Oklahoma. And we are so lucky for his leadership.
Yeah. I want to nerd out on the specifics of, I mean, it's hot there. Was the food good? Obviously, you're wined and dined. Their service is incredible. Yeah.
Hospitality is unbelievable over there. Here's what I'll say. I'm not a really adventurous eater. I have a weird allergy. I have a mushroom allergy, which is strange, but like people want to put mushrooms in everything, especially at convention dinners. Can't tell you how many times I get a plate where I'm like,
Don't eat that.
Yeah. They ask your like restrictions or whatever, and then they just order for you. So I didn't have to look at a single menu while I was there. Every meal that we went to, they had just food brought out to the table, and they'd be like, Rachel, don't eat that and don't eat that. Like everything else you can have. The food was so exceptional that I just ate whatever. It like, don't tell my mom, because I never did that for her.
It's like going to your grandparents' house. Yes. You can eat whatever you want.
Yeah. But it was wonderful. Like the hummus was so fresh. It was Mediterranean food. Like it was so, and Lebanese food. Like it was so fresh and good. But also you don't have time to get thirsty or hungry, because it's just every room that you walk into, they're pouring tea for you. Would you like some tea? Would you like some, you know what I mean?
Tea,
like,
right?
It's great.
Yeah.
So the hospitality like is on point. They really know how to do that. And also just kindness. You know what I mean? Like what I really loved over there, like we went to all top down, you know what I mean? Like you're meeting with all the key decision makers, and every room that you go in, they're offering you tea. They are spending time getting to know you. Like it is not just a transactional culture. It is a relational culture. And so I'm going to get to know you before I decide if I want to do business with you. And if there is one thing that I have taken away in this last year, it is, man, relational growth over just transactional growth is so important, because who you do business with matters so much. And so really getting to know the people, if you're going to start a new business and you're going to bring on investors and, all that matters. Like who you do it with matters. And so I feel like they have a ton of money, and I feel like people have come over with suitcases asking for, like, can you put some of your money in here? But a lot of people are coming over there in a very transactional spirit. And I think that when they see people like Bond who are interested in, hey, I know you're trying to build something here. We'll help you. We're also trying to build something here. Will you help us? And when you find an opportunity for partnership, I think there's something really special there. And I think that's something he's done really well.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what comes from it, you know?
Yeah. What's that next step? And
he's
obviously
hustling to put it together.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for you too, right? They wanted you to extend your stay and wanted to fly your family over there, and like,
I mean, they're already planning my next trip back. They're like, we've got Formula One in November. Like, do you here's the list of events that you can come back
with you for that one. Yeah.
I was like,
unpaid assistant.
You want to? Yeah.
Heck yeah, I want to go to. Yeah, I love the Formula One. That'd be amazing.
They do events
Yeah.
Just
And November
it's
won't be
mind-blowing.
that hot.
No, it's beautiful there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful there now.
Yeah.
Like, let me clarify. It is hot. The camels looked uncomfortable.
Did you ride a camel?
I did not, but I did see one.
Were you offered to ride a camel?
I did not. We did not have time
Okay.
for that. We explored none.
Yeah,
I
it
really
was
wanted to
work,
jump in an
work.
ATV and
Yeah,
like
do
go
the sand dune thing.
sand duning.
Yeah.
But no, we were like in meeting after meeting after meeting, and it was 8 a.m. until like, I mean, I'd tap out at midnight, and they were like, "Where are you going?" I was just like, "What is wrong?"
We have more
with
tea
you
to
guys?
drink.
Yeah, like it was just nonstop. But the I don't know, just the relationship building was and with the Oklahoma people, like it was the Oklahoma delegate, the Oklahoma troublemakers.
Yeah.
They were staying up past midnight. That it was fun getting to know them and getting to spend time. Like
Yeah.
some I knew and some I met over there.
Yeah.
And like that part was really wonderful. Just meeting like the people who are really doing big things in Oklahoma and being in like a location where, you know, Jeremy and I talked about the ability to fast track a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, do you know how many lunch dates or coffee dates it would take to get to know somebody
go
at
travel.
that level?
Yeah.
Go to another country for
Yeah.
a week and you know who that person is by the end of it. Everybody got nicknames. We all came back with, you know, friends for life. It's pretty cool.
That's the one thing that, and people listening who have been on travel, college teams, whatever it is that have traveled together, where it's traveling to a different location
Yeah.
to shoot a movie, all the things, like you're totally right. Like when you travel with somebody, whether it's just one person or a group, like you have you have memories for life and friends for life after that, because you all tie back to, oh, remember that when we went to Doha? I remember, like, you know, and you guys will be talking about this, you know, in dinners and restaurants for a long time. You'll always have that connection.
Yeah.
And, you know, that you're bringing, sounds like Bond did a really good job of bringing, you know, really cool, diverse group of people together that are all in those industries that, and I think it's also an Oklahoma thing, the relationship part too.
Yes.
Right. That's probably why there's such a great connection, is because in Oklahoma, not all the time are people just wanting to do business. They want to get to know you. They want to be your friend and do business with you, which has its own complications sometimes, but the intention is there from the day one. So it comes in softer than just being like, you guys have money. We want your money. Come to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, like, what's your story? Like, how do you do business? What's your upbringing? What's your culture? Like,
yeah,
you know,
like I want to understand more. I have questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and for me, I think it's always been more about, okay, I know how you can help me, but first I want to know how can I help you, or what can I bring so that this is mutually beneficial?
Yeah.
And whether that's with an investor or a legislator or another country, that's important for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because transactional dealings are not, they're not my favorite. You know, like I like building things. I like building relationships. I like it matters to me. If you give me money, like that matters, that I do something really good with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I take that very seriously. And I was very quiet the first day or two, just watching and observing.
Yeah.
And they were just like, Rachel, what's your ask? Like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't quite have one yet. Like, you guys asked me to come and I said, yes, I'm here. But I'm still kind of figuring out, like, I know what I'm building in Oklahoma. I don't necessarily know how that translates yet, other than if you want to invest, like that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then there was a moment, and I will just say, it was like, you know, when like in a movie, when all of a sudden something drops and the eyes dilate and you're just like, oh my gosh, I understand exactly what that is. I kind of had that moment when the US ambassador was talking, and I understood how I could be valuable. You know what I mean? And so that's when I got
Yeah.
taken
Who's the
to
U.S.
tall building.
ambassador to Doha?
His name's Timmy Davis,
Okay.
which he was appointed by Biden. He's got a couple of weeks left, and then Trump will put somebody in.
Yeah, it's July that they roll over usually, right? Kind of around that time.
Yeah. But I will tell you, that man is full of love, and like he was wonderful. So whatever he does next,
Yeah.
he's a pretty special guy.
That's a fascinating world, the ambassador world, and how, their term and everything. Like, it's when you really dive into it and ask those questions, it's,
Yeah.
you don't just go on vacation to another country. Like,
Yeah.
you are,
He's living there.
Yeah.
Like he is
full time.
Yeah, he is
it
full
doesn't end.
time over there. But as an American, to be able to say, like, here's how our government interacts, here's what we you know what I mean? There was a lot of that information that I'm like, well, that's not what you hear on the news. Well, that's not what you're seeing. And, and so there's a lot of that I went over there curious to learn, you know what I mean? Like as my nature, just to learn more about it and to be open-minded. And I know what I'm building here, and it's going to take a lot to distract me from that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I am 100% of my efforts are into building this independent television studio. Like Rock Paper Cannon is 100% of my focus.
Okay. Where are we in that stage? What do you need next?
Just money.
Just money. People donate. Do we have a GoFundMe link yet?
I don't know. Maybe we need one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting the right studio partners together. And
so we don't have a location yet, right? Still waiting on that. But that seems like it's a bit further down the road. You know, see money first.
Well, it is. You've got the studio. Like this is the studio that's building everything. Here's our first slate of projects. Here's where we're going to film those projects. So until we greenlight our first project, which is ready to go. But once we get that project in pre-production, then you start looking for the location, because I'm not looking to buy a location. I'm looking to use one for production. However, I am working with a firm that is building out so I've got a short-term and a long-term. So long-term, we are exploring where that would be and how that gets pieced together with the right people. Again, relational over transactional. It's not that much. So it's just about getting the right people in the right location, because it's consumer facing. And
the location is more important.
Yeah.
One of the most important things, right? Like you said, you could go to an empty box warehouse and have it. But the good thing is you have a need and people saying, hey, when you're ready, we're in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so it's been a lot of relationship building and getting to know people. You know what I mean? I think so much of what I did before was just working with Hollywood and recruiting Hollywood to come here. I wasn't really engaged that much with the outside business community because there were no investment opportunities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we were building something to be able to say, this is what the future looks like. And I think now I'm really just trying to get to know the business community, and I'm really enjoying that part of it. There's some really incredible people here in Oklahoma that are dedicated to making Oklahoma a better place. And I'm really enjoying, this has been an awesome year. It's been such a great time getting to know some of the people who really have a civic passion for making things better. It's been really fun to get to know the people who have these bold, ambitious visions, that want to run beside you. And it's hey, here's this impossible thing I'm trying to do. And I'm like, cool, here's this impossible thing I'm trying to do. And you get to run towards that together. I think that's the Oklahoma way. You know what I mean? We're cowboys.
Yeah.
We are ambitious and nobody tells us how to do it. We make the blueprints as we go. And I think that is the spirit. And that's the spirit of Rock Paper Cannon. You know what I mean? Do you know how many independent television studios there are?
0. Right?
There are 0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most people are independently financing a project.
Yes.
That is starting to catch on, and it's starting to become the new trend. We are an independent television studio that wants to do a slate of projects, and we are the only ones nutty enough to just go after sitcoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone goes after movies and the big budget stuff, I would assume. Right? That's why they see money in dollars, but those are obviously privately funded through investors, and then...
Yeah, but people will go after, it's okay, here's a $20 million movie, or here's a $10 million movie. They'll invest in those individually, or, you've seen Tires with Shane Gillis. You've seen, The Chosen was independently funded, but that's a project, you know what I mean? Through Angel Studios. You have the Duplass brothers did Penelope for Netflix that they independently financed. But again, that's one project, one season, and then they're getting it picked up. And so what we're saying is we want to do low cost, high volume machines. And historically, if you look at the shows that have been the most successful, look at Friends and Seinfeld and Big Bang Theory. Those are all rounding $5 billion in revenue a piece.
Suits.
Now, you know what I mean? It's $1 billion a year, and those are all live audience sitcoms.
Yeah.
So I'm going after the ones that are money printing machines
Yeah.
that have stabilized a studio, because that allows you to do everything else.
And it doesn't seem like there's a lot more coming to fill those shows.
There's
Fill
such a gap in
right?
the market. Like
Yeah.
it is the highest, 52% of the content that is being watched on any streamers is sitcoms,
Yeah.
but they're all old ones.
But they're replayed ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not coming out.
So they're huge in syndication. You talk to any network that is looking for syndication driven content, they want procedural cop shows or medical dramas or sitcoms. And they need sitcoms to counter the news that you're watching at night, which is so depressing that you need to watch something funny before you go to bed. So there is a machine that has worked for a really long time.
Yeah.
And we're just tapping into, there's a massively underserved market, and there's a gap in the supply and demand chain. And we think we can put those two things together. We are a cost-effective market where this stuff can get produced, where most of it stays on the screen, and we can cut better deals. Like, we're using the indie model for films that is not new, but we're applying it to television and specifically sitcoms, which are freaking fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been to one, but it sounds like just that in-person experience, which is another thing people crave right now. We're trying to get away from just looking at our phones or iPads or TVs, and we're trying to have that live in-person experience, whether it's going to music, going musicals, going to live games, whatever it is. And then you bring this in. I want to experience that, right? I want to see what it's like, and also to get to see these actors like yourself live and in the moment and do things, because that is cool.
Man, it's so exciting. You know what I mean? To be able to put all of those pieces together. I mean, like, I go back to like some of the most fun experiences that I've had during the rehearsal and the run-throughs. Like, that's all logistical, right? Like, it's okay, here's your mark, here's where you're going to stand. Don't get attached to your lines. They'll be changed before show night anyways. Like, okay, I understand how that goes. Okay, I'll see you guys on show night. You know what I mean? And then you show up, and that's when everybody comes to life. I remember doing Malibu Country with Reba and Lily Tomlin. And during the week, Lily Tomlin was just like, so quiet. You know what I mean? Like, she was just very, like, she'd show up, she would like read her lines, like she wasn't memorizing anything. And I was like, oh no, this is not going to go well, And then show night, she lit up like a Christmas tree. She had that crowd like in her. She was absolute magic. And I go, not worthy. I understand how that goes. But it was watching her engage with the audience. She saved everything for show night. You know what I mean? And like, for the people who have done sitcoms, it's all we want to do. There's a little club of us, and I can't tell you how many directors and showrunners and people like that are like, don't forget me. Like, I want to be a part of this. I will move to Oklahoma. I'm on Zillow right now. Tell me where to live.
I know a guy who can help with that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great. Like, we're putting the money together, and like, I think it will revolutionize entertainment for Oklahoma. And I think that in 5 years, in 10 years, it'll be like it's always been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm excited to be able to build every phase of that. And something that my mom taught me a long time ago, which is like, enjoy every like phase, right? If you're always waiting to be happy until you get, well, I'll be happy when I get this, or I'll be happy when this happens, or when I get my first big part, or when I get my first series, or when you know what I mean? If you're waiting for those moments to be happy, then you miss out. The joy's in the journey. You know what I mean? And you have to find joy in the process. And so, I think it's just like, if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah.
And like, I love the process of meeting new people. I love the process of connecting the dots on things. I love the process of building something that doesn't exist. And I love to be told no. I love to be told, you can't do that, and you're going to ask my mom since I was 3 years old, watch me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love to be underestimated. I love for people to think, but you can't do that because this is what's always been done. Or you can't take sitcoms out of California. That's where they belong. Do you know that Gavin Newsom put like in his law this year, do you notice that like yes, they're going from 330 million to 750 million. They're going from 20% to 35%, which is more than we offer. They're doing all of that to try and keep the industry back in California. But specifically, they are, for the first time in the history of incentives in California, incentivizing live audience television, specifically sitcoms and game shows. Do you know why?
I have no idea.
Because we went after it.
Okay.
Because
So
they weren't incentivizing
because they're being
it.
challenged.
That's right.
Yeah, they have competition now. They need to fight with it.
Because
they've never had to.
Nobody ever tried to get it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever came after it.
Yeah.
So once we put that on the docket last year, it got everyone's attention. And it's like the Nashville effect. Like, Nashville did not compete for just all music. They very specifically went after country music, and now you can't touch them.
Yeah.
They are the country musical capital of the world and forever will be. We can be that for live audience entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's why this bill was so important to fight for this year, because that's what we're going after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're pointing to the outfield. That's what we want. And that's what we're going to go after. And it is a statement to the industry. They need to know which box to put you in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Georgia's Marvel, or it was, now that's the UK. But like, New Mexico is getting certain types of shows. They had Breaking Bad, and they've got a lot of those, like, dicey dramas.
Right.
What are we known for? Just Oklahoma stories? Like, I will say, a lot of the storylines have not been very flattering for Oklahoma. And if we keep letting them tell our story, we have no control over that narrative. Like, we need to tell them, this is where we fit in. This is what we want. And these are stable jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're not that expensive per episode, but like, the longevity of these shows, you know what I mean? Like, Ted Lasso is 30 episodes, 37 episodes, and they're 4 or 5, they're almost done. Like, that's 2 seasons of television in a sitcom.
Yeah.
They're 18 to 24 episodes a season. I'll take those, please.
Yeah. Take those numbers.
Yeah. So that's...
I'm going to give you a
Let's
chance
focus.
to kind of manifest and speak this into existence.
Ooh.
What does this look like in 20 years on show day in your own head? If you were to close your eyes before you go to bed and do the manifestation thing, which is real, people, you should be doing it.
You should be.
What does that look like? What are you visualizing? And what does that day look like?
In 20 years?
Whenever it happens.
I think that we become a live entertainment hub. I think that people are living in Oklahoma because this is the place where live entertainment shows, whether it's talk shows, game shows, sitcoms, this is where it happens. I think it is a massive destination for tourism. I think that it is, the community engagement is off the charts. I think it is a message that spreads joy to the rest of the world, and it fights suicide and depression and anxiety and all the things that I think are paralyzing our people. Like, people are sad, and I think they need something that brings them together. And the Oklahoma Standard exists for a reason. There's a reason it's supposed to be here. Like, God pushed me to go to California 25 years ago when I had no contacts there, no reason to go. But I was pushed to go there. I went and I learned an industry, and I captured an incredible community and a network of people. And then he told me to come home, and like, I'm bringing that here. And I know that it is my vision, but it is not my vision. You know what I mean? Like, I am to execute on that vision. And I think that every day that I get closer to that, I think that it changes everything. You know what I mean? And to be able to sit at that premiere in the corner with you and your aunt and just watch, I think you'll see people being kinder to each other. I think that there will be more laughter and more engagement, more community. And I think you'll have a lot more kids that dare to dream that they belong in this industry, and to only realize that there's nothing keeping you out of it. Yeah.
That's right here.
How about that?
Two
and
fun
I'm in a hair and
questions.
makeup chair.
And I'm in a hair
forever.
Yeah, forever. Right? Running on, either doing your own show or introducing the next one.
That's right.
Right? MCing it.
Yeah. I am the female Chuck Lorre. Watch out.
There it is. That's the quote. Two fun questions to finish.
Sure.
One, we both have been doing what some people call Pilates, but it's Legree. How's your Legree? What's the right way to put this?
How's my Legree journey?
Yeah, like what's that like? Because Pike Evolution in Edmond has been a huge supporter.
Love those girls.
Yeah, they're awesome. And so I know every time I get to have a guest on that's done Legree, I'd love to ask that question. How is it? How's it been?
I still got the shakes. Did those ever go away?
No, they don't.
God. No, I mean, I don't get to do it as much as I want to. It is, I mean, I've been doing Pilates and yoga. I mean, like I was a certified yoga instructor doing yoga with fighters and actors and football players. Like I love sports and I love the challenge of yoga and Pilates. What is so fascinating about Legree is that they flip your core and your stability. You know what I mean? So everything is like about pushing into the ground and stabilizing so that you're like lifting up and you feel light and fun. And theirs is about like, oh, no, you don't get any balance. It is just upside down and trying to use your core for everything. And you shake in parts of your body that it's just like humiliating, but it's so effective. So, I hope they open 14 more locations in Oklahoma. Like, I think those girls are great.
Whose classes did you take?
I mean, I think all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm less loyal to a person, and it's more about
Time
what
and
window of
convenience.
time can I cram in. And I will say there wasn't an easy one in the bunch, but there was always like a 70-year-old lady next to me just killing it. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, hats off,
Yeah.
Lily Tomlin.
Love it.
Love it when the queens show us how it's done.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be in 20 years. I want to be one of those sassy old ladies that's like showing everyone how it's done. Maybe I'll get there.
Maybe. I think you will. It's not a maybe. That's not a question. That's definitely you're going to get there. It's just a matter of when. Last question then, because this one's for me. Dream house. If you were to build your dream house today, what does it look like?
Mike, I need you to help me figure out how to get a really cool mid-century home, like a mid-century California architecture, like dream home with a big closet and a modern bathroom and kitchen.
Okay.
That's what I need.
Mm.
I need something old and vintage, and I need a fresh new twist. Like that is my life. You know what I mean? Like everything is take something old, make it modern. Take something old, give it like fresh, new, exciting life. That's why I loved the Cox Center so much. I got to take something that was old and falling apart, slap some paint on that thing, put an 80-foot sign on the side of the building, and we made it freaking wonderful.
Yeah.
I like old stuff, but like I need modern amenities.
Functional old stuff.
Yeah. Like I have a lot of clothes. I need a big closet, and most mid-century houses have like, you know, like a rack that's like this long. And I'm like, who are you people?
How did you survive in
Yes.
this? Right?
Yeah, that was like California. I feel like you'd find really cool houses in California and you'd have to convert an entire bedroom into a closet because they just don't have those there. And I feel like that's what I want. So I have no interest in new homes in Oklahoma until you can find me that dream home. And maybe we just need to build it. I don't know.
There
open
is
for
that.
either.
You could definitely buld it. But yeah, I'm sure.
Or if
there's
you
a way
find
to
it for
Or if
me.
I find it, I'll let you know.
I love it when you send me listings though, and Noah and I are like, ooh, maybe we should go look at that one.
Yeah.
So keep doing that.
There's some great ones out there. We have great houses here. And
Yeah.
they're affordable too. which is
And I
awesome.
feel like Oklahoma City, interestingly, has like a really wonderful mid-century, like,
Frank Lloyd Wright.
yeah.
Unless you want to live in Tulsa, I think that house is still for sale. Yeah.
That house is such a fishbowl, but it is so cool. It is
Yeah, it's
not like the mother with a toddler version of me
Sharp
is
corners.
terrified of that house because I'm just
Right.
like, oh my God,
Yeah.
PTSD of sharp corners everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think we could exist. I mean, August is 9 years old
Yeah,
in a
he's
month.
fine.
Like what?
It's crazy.
Yeah, he's old enough. He won't bust his face on anything anymore.
No.
We're good.
If he does, he
I
just
don't know.
bounce back.
Maybe we need to go to Tulsa. What's
Yeah.
that commute?
That's fine. An hour, maybe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Proud of you. Thanks for coming in. Glad
Thanks,
we finally
buddy.
got to do this. Excited to do the next one. Excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Excited to sit and enjoy some live comedy at some point.
VIP seats for life, my
VIP seats
friend.
for me, sure. Yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you.
You know, anything you need, you know, we're always here. You have a great team, and Oklahoma's doing great things in and around you to help. So
Well, thank you. And
keep
thank you for
crushing
being like, you're like the modern Kevin Bacon. It's like how
Thank
many
you.
connections of
Yeah.
like Mike Hearn into the community. You have done more for the state of Oklahoma and connecting the cool people that are in it that maybe people don't necessarily know about, but now everybody gets to know about their stories through the important work that you do on
Thank
this podcast. So I know for me moving back to Oklahoma, and I was from here, it was something where I would go to your podcast and look for who are the things that I need to know about, who are the places, who are, you know, like who are the connectors, and you have single-handedly done that as a Welsh kid, you
Right.
know, that came over here for a
Yeah,
golf
yeah.
scholarship, and like you just stuck around and you became one of us, and so like thanks for that.
Thanks. You're making me uncomfortable.
See, it's hard to be in front of the
It is
camera,
hard
isn't
to be
it?
in front of the camera. But yeah, thanks so much for coming in. Rock, paper, cannon everywhere.
That's right. At Rock Paper Cannon on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Rachel W. Cannon. You can follow along for the journey.
Mhm.
Promise I will let you guys know when you can get tickets. I will not leave you out of that process.
Yeah.
We're building the house right now. So thank you for your support. And if anybody wants to bring a suitcase full of cash, I will let Mike tell you where to drop that off. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we want everyone to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it would be easy for me to go to California and get checks. It would be easy for me to go anywhere else, frankly, Texas, anywhere else, because they understand the business model and they understand it. But it is more important for it to be Oklahoma banks and Oklahoma businesses and Oklahoma investors, and because then it stays here. You know what I mean? And so everyone's invited to the party.
Yeah.
Except for one or two.
We'll leave it there. Rachel Cannon, everybody. Thanks so much for coming in. And yeah, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedoghouseokc.com and follow them on Instagram at thedoghouseokc, and hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.